Good afternoon. My name is Zoe Allen. The War That Saved My Life is a triumphant piece of historical fiction written by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, set in World War II. The story takes place through the lens of Ada, who is abused due to her disability at the mere age of 12. She has a cruel mother, Ma'am, and a spoiled 6-year-old brother, Jamie. The novel outlines the protagonist's battle with discrimination about her overall traits, ranging from her disability her mother abuses her for, to the looks that are changed due to her time in captivity. I chose this story and passage because it emphasizes how the environment that you are brought up in affects who you are and how looks, gender, age, and physical abilities affect who you are to be treated by others. Personally, as I'm part of a multicultural family, I have experienced others perceive me differently due to my ethnicity. With parents from different nationalities, I am inevitably having a childhood that fundamentally affects my perception of society differently. Simultaneously, this trait has sometimes been the reason why I was treated differently. In that sense, the protagonist's feeling of being the odd one out resonated despite the different time frames we coexist in. We pick up the story after World War II starts, and all of the children are sent to the countryside, except for Ada. Or at least, that's what Ma'am thought. The day got worse. It was bound to. The train stopped and started and stopped again. Hot sun poured through the windows until the air seemed to curdle. Small children cried. Bigger ones fought. Finally, we stopped at a quay, but a bossy woman standing there wouldn't let us out. She argued with the head teacher, and then with all the other teachers, and then even with the man running the train. The teacher said we had to be let out, for the love of mercy. But the woman, who had a face like iron and a uniform like a soldier's, only with the skirt, thumped her clipboard and refused. I'm to expect 70 mothers with infant children, she said, not 200 school children. It says so, here. I don't care in the least what's written on your paper, the head teacher spat back. The teacher supervising our car shook her head and opened the door. Out, all of you, she said. Loser in the station. We'll find you something to drink and eat. Out you go. And out we went, in a thundering herd. The other teachers followed, opening the doors to their cars. The iron-faced woman scowled and barked orders everyone ignored. It was more noise and rush than I'd ever seen. It was better than fireworks. Jamie helped me off the train. I felt stiff all over, and I had to go something desperate. Show me how to use the loo, I told him. Sounds funny, but it was my first real loo. At home, our flat shared the one down the hall, but I just used a bucket, and Ma'am or Jamie emptied it. I think I got to use the boys' one, Jamie said. What do you mean, the boys' one? See? He pointed at 2 doors. Sure enough, all the boys were going through one door, the girls through another. Only now line snaked out the doors. I waited my turn, and then I splashed water onto my hot face. A girl right in front of me, the shabbiest, nastiest-looking girl I had ever seen, was using a sink in front of my sink, which seemed odd. I frowned at her, and she frowned back. All of a sudden, I realized I was looking in a mirror. Ma'am had a mirror. It hung high on the wall, and I never bothered with it, but I stared into this one, appalled. I'd assumed I looked like all the other girls, but my hair was clumpy, not smooth. My skin was paler than theirs, milky white, except it also looked rather gray around my neck. The dirty calluses on my knees stood out beneath my faded skirt, which suddenly seemed grubby and too small. What could I do? I took a deep breath and staggered out. Jamie was waiting. I looked him over with newly critical eyes. He was dirtier than the other boys, too. His shirt had faded into an indeterminate color, and his fingernails were rimmed in black. We should have baths, I said. Jamie shrugged. Doesn't matter. But it did. At home, when I looked out my window onto the lane across the street, 3 buildings to the left on the corner, I could see a fishmonger's shop. They had fish delivered every morning and laid it out for sale on a thick, cool piece of stone. In the summer heat, fish could go off fast, so women knew how to pick through the selection carefully and choose only the freshest and the best. That's what we children were. Fish on a slab. The teachers herded us down the street into a big building and lined us up against one wall. Men and women from the village filed past, looking to see if we were sweet and pretty and wholesome enough to take home. That they didn't think many of us were good value was clear from the expressions on their faces and the things that they said. Good Lord, one woman said. reeling away from sniffing a little girl's hair. They're filthy. They'll wash, the iron-faced woman said. She directed operations from the center of the room, clipboard still in hand. We need to be generous. We didn't expect so many. We've got to do our bit. My bit don't extend to a pack of dirty street rats, an old man retorted. They're children, the iron-faced woman replied. It's not their fault what they look like. I looked around. The village girls handing round cups of tea were sort of shiny, bright, with ribbons in their hair. They looked like they would smell nice. Maybe not, another woman said, but they're not much like our children, are they? The iron-faced woman opened her mouth to argue, then shut it without saying a word. Whatever we weren't like their children. That much was clear. Ada, Jamie whispered, nobody wants you and me. It was true. The crowd was thinning out. Fewer and fewer children remained. The teachers pushed us together and said nice things about us. The iron-faced woman cajoled the remaining villagers. A blue-haired old woman put her hand on Jamie's arm. I won't take the girl, she said, but I suppose I can manage the little boy. You don't want him, I said. He steals and bites, and without me to manage him, he might go back to having fits. The woman's mouth dropped into a soundless oh. She scuttled away and went off with somebody else's brother. And then the hall was empty, save the teachers, the iron woman, Jamie, and me. Mem had been right. No one would have us. We were the only ones not chosen. Thank you.